What's up, Fetterman?
Hey, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Episode 140.
140
Those keeping track at home. One episode away from 141. I don't know. What do I know?
7 away from 147.
Yeah, this is the EriDan Fin Festival. See what I did there?
Look at you. I went with Sharknado.
You went with Sharknado. I appreciate the Sharknado. Tonight we're talking Jaws. Jaws. Come on. Who hasn't seen Jaws? I had never seen Jaws.
What?
I know.
You had never seen this?
I have never. No. No, wow. This was my first viewing ever. And I watched all. No, I did not watch all 4 of them.
I watched all of them.
But I made it through one of them, and that was something. So tonight we're going to talk Jaws. So I feel like
Scott says, "Excuse me."
This is an. I know.
Well, then you not have ever seen Jaws?
Join us. Tell me why I'm wrong about Jaws. No, let's hear your thoughts about Jaws. No, I'm setting you up. It was great. But I appreciate you wearing the Monsters Inc. hat. What is that with the M on the hat?
That's actually, it says it's JVC.
Oh my gosh, it is.
It is, but it's actually not. It actually is an M.
Oh, it is an M. Now, see, now you said it. I can't not see the JVC now.
There's a little bit of a logo right there.
It's a terrible hat.
Logo. Sorry, it's actually McLaren. It's a very pricey car. A friend of mine was at some F1 rally and he got a free hat and gave it to me.
Well, how about that?
So it's
McLaren. Let's hear it for free hats. Nice job.
Hey.
All right. So if people want to join us, EriDanLive.com is the place to go.
It's super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
For never watching Jaws. I'll tell you a list of other movies you'll be shocked I've never seen. But EriDanLive.com, we want to hear your opinions. We're going to rate this movie. We're going to pick another movie for next week. We're gonna remind you to watch Deep Space Nine. We're going to do a lot of stuff tonight. We have a jam-packed evening of fun, frivolity, and mayhem. So, shall we?
Very exciting.
All right. Well, speaking
of,
I'm sorry, Dave. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
Dave is here. Quint.
Yes.
That's
best character in the movie.
Harry.
There's moments.
Nice. You got some flannel going there too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
it's
ready.
winter. Come on.
Oh, it is.
It doesn't really feel like winter, but we'll talk about that later.
It was almost 60 today, but it's winter.
Speaking of winter,
almost 60. No, I'm sorry. Well, Brian is here.
Brian's here. Brian's here. Brian's here.
Oh, with the Spider-Man song, we actually had 40 degrees, so that's a high.
And you're in Maine?
In Maine, yeah.
40 degrees in Maine. Right now, it's I guess we're doing a weather check, huh?
How is it in your part of the country?
43 here, Willard Scott.
All right, thank you. 47 here in Moon Township, Pennsylvania.
I don't know what it is right now. It was 40 earlier today.
Let's go find out what it's like in Chippewa, Pennsylvania. Oh, that's awesome. Wow, look how ready the riders are. Oh, man.
Wow.
Wow.
Land shark.
It's Shark Week at the Riders' house. I love it.
Pull over. I can't be seen.
Oh, man. I love the onesie. That's fantastic.
It has a tail and it's uncomfortable, apparently. Yeah.
Candygram.
You should have picked Shark Tale instead. That would have been more appropriate.
See, yeah.
Sorry. Oh, and we have a guest who I
We
don't
have a
think-
new This is first time, I think. So you have to play the
Do
intro.
we need it? Do we need it? Do you have the button? I don't have the button.
Oh, I'll find it. Hold on.
All right. There's a lot of buttons here.
First time.
You find it?
Hold on, I'm finding it. If only he had the same name as somebody that's already been on. Here we go. No, that's 5 times. Here it is. I got it.
Look at that.
It's Scott.
A very appropriate intro. Oh my God, Eric. How have you never seen Jaws? Are you kidding me?
Well,
So-
I was a coward as a
The
child.
first blockbuster.
Same.
Are
It
you
was my
kidding
first time
me?
too. It's okay.
It was
Yeah, I was
Oh
honest.
my
I was
God.
terrified when it came out, right? When I was young, and I don't do scary movies as a
Same.
rule.
I'm not sure I'd call it the first blockbuster, though. I mean, there's Gone with the Wind. There's plenty of huge movies.
In terms of
according to
like high
Wikipedia-
concept, like you have to
According to
describe a movie
Wikipedia,
in
it is
25 words,
considered-
merchandise, visual style. It is definitely
Scott, by the
a
way,
blockbuster. But-
Scott's commented before. Scott's the director of the sitcom, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, John.
All right. Awesome.
So
And
yeah.
sponsored by Ben Q, apparently. No, I'm kidding.
Sorry, I will calm down now. I am a guest on
You're
Dan's
welcome.
good name and Dan's paycheck. Hello.
Bring the
I'm
heat.
glad to be here.
Bring the
No,
heat.
it's
Scott.
good.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
And the poster that's behind him is actually in the show.
According to
Back to the Future
Wikipedia does say that this was the first summer blockbuster.
yeah.
So I will defend Scott's comment before I bring in Brittany.
One ring to rule the moon. One ring to fight.
It's Brittany.
Hey there, Brittany.
Hello.
Well,
Shark ate your homework. Uh-oh.
It happens. It does happen.
Every once in a while, man.
It's
So
still
Adam says, going back to the weather real quick, it might snow here. Where are you, Adam? Are you in Puyallup? Or are you in Washington? Where are you? Because it's not supposed to snow
where
here.
is
Where in the world is Adam Jones?
Where in the world is Adam Jones? That is the
Ecuador.
question.
That's back when the intros were very basic.
They were a little basic back then, yeah. So, all right, well, let's talk some Jaws. Reagan, this was your choice for the week, so thank you for bringing us Jaws from 1975. Rated PG-13. You know the people: Roy Scheider,
Roy Scheider. Jeez.
sure, Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, Murray Hamilton, and Carl Gottlieb. In this, unknown director in one of his unknown, lesser-known movies.
Let me guess. You've never seen All That Jazz either, right?
No, I actually never have seen all that jazz. Budget of $12 million, worldwide gross of $483
yeah, it's pretty
million dollars on Jaws.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Critics,
it's a sequel. Yeah.
97% from the critics, 90% from the audience. Reagan, what say you? No, why?
I
Tell
like
us.
sharks. No, I do like sharks. I
Well, Scott's
That's
got
all he
Jaws.
has.
Showtime.
Just like that.
Wow, look at that.
See,
This
Roy
is
Scheider.
actually an original wall poster.
That's
Wow.
probably Roy. I mean, Roy Scheider's been in possibly better movies than that, but that's a movie he carries from beginning to end.
Yes.
Yes.
And
This
I've
is-
never seen that either. Okay, so Reagan,
yeah.
why
No,
why Jaws? Why us? No, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I really like sharks, and I watched it in 2020 over COVID, right before I started surfing, which was not the best idea, but it's fun. It's in Lake Erie, so it's
Was that,
fine.
your,
But
was that your first time when you saw it? 2020.
in 2020, yeah. And
Okay.
I watched it and I liked, I don't know, I just like ocean movies. Obviously, I live off of Dolphin Tale. So I really just enjoy stuff like this for some reason. And it was like, I also don't really like scary movies either. So I don't even know what even got me to watch it. But to me, like after I'd watched it a couple times, like it honestly was my comfort movie this summer. I watched it every Friday.
Wow.
And I would put it on and like sit there and zoom my friend. Like it's just like this normal movie for me, I guess. I don't know, but
Like, well, 2020 could be worse. No, I'm kidding.
yeah. So I watched
So
it
it could be Jaws.
last summer a lot, and so I don't know. I just been thinking about it and was like, cool, we'll watch Jaws because I like the history of it too. I like, there's just.
You know,
I said it'd
he
be cool
just sits around for
history.
fun and watches Jaws and Room and 127 Hours. And,
Yeah.
But she didn't like
feel-good
scary
movies.
movies.
Columbus.
I like drama movies, but I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting because, like I said, I like the history of this movie and like how like we talked about like people were like, I think this was one of the ones that was in theaters for a long time because a lot of people wanted to see it and like a lot of people like it now still, and it's still like this big important movie and one of the first like what is it called, like
Blockbuster
classics or something like. So I thought that like it would just be interesting to see what we would say on here. So
I agree. And people are piling in to talk about Jaws, so it obviously was a great choice. We got to bring in Cody. Wiki. Wikipedia. Oh my goodness, Cody!
What up? The intros have definitely gotten better.
Huh?
Since Adam, the intros have gotten better because Adam says he will not come back on until we get to new intros. So.
Oh, man. The pressure. I can't take it.
Well, we almost have the full Brady bunch. Come on, one more person. One more person.
We need one more for a solid.
Come on, Adam.
I want to be Marsha.
So, Stacey, did you say this was your first time for Jaws?
It was my first time, and let me tell you, when we started it yesterday, was it yesterday or Saturday?
I don't know.
The music's starting. I know what's going to happen because I know it's at the beginning of the movie, and I was started to have a little bit of a panic attack, and I'm like, I can't watch this movie. I can't. I will not do it. And Reagan said, "Well, we can skip this part. You know what's going to happen, and it's fine." I'm like, "Okay," because I was terrified with the music. And
really,
yeah.
Well, I don't like that part either. And
my sister and I grew up with a pool, and when we would play shark in the water, it scared the crap out of both of us. But we do it, but it scared. And so I was just having anxiety from that and remembering that, and just I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Don't listen to New World Another movie. You can name the movie in 2 notes. I mean, all you need to hear is
yeah, right.
And you know what movie?
I can name that movie in 1
well,
note.
it makes the NBC NBC theme seem like a work of art. Because at least there's 3 notes in that.
Ding, ding, ding.
Dan doesn't do his freaky facts anymore, but one of the ones I was looking for something in particular, but what I ended up accidentally finding was that actress in that opening scene, her reactions weren't scary enough. Like they weren't like believable. So the director told a diver when she's not paying attention, just yank. So her screams were real. Like that was totally like she had no idea.
Yeah, they were crushing her ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had a diver pulling her leg.
Oh God, help! And I also saw that they actually like waterboarded her to get the gurgling, the drowning sound.
Mm.
They're like pouring water down her throat.
Yeah, well, I know that she was surfing right there. Maybe she used that too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So one time I was snorkeling, and I did that to one of my friends. I grabbed his fin while he was snorkeling, and he about flew up out of the water. And I mean, we were in like 2 feet of water.
It's not your friend anymore.
We, my first year ever going on I did a mission trip to Nicaragua in 2012, Nicaragua. And we swam. It's like just a lake. It's a freshwater lake, but there's like 2 like volcanoes. Like there's an active one and then a dormant one like across the lake that you can see and whatever. And we were in that water with those kids for 3 days. And then at the end of the week, the kids got on the bus to go home and they're like, okay, it's time for we weren't in the water for 3 days straight, but
I was gonna
swim with them.
Oh, you were prunes.
every day we had swim time with them. And then on like the last time, like we had like free time, and then the missionaries that were in charge of our trip were like, oh, by the way, this lake is the only freshwater lake in the world that has sharks in it, and they're bull sharks. So
oh, bull shark.
Don't die. Like,
wow.
Like, for 3 days I was in this water. And
we never even saw one.
No, we did. And then I went back, 6 more years in a row and
tried to find one.
I didn't die. So
that you know of. No.
This is all part of the Matrix.
Now, did anybody see this movie in 1975?
No.
No.
Reagan raised her hand.
I was like, this is. I mean,
I
I'll be
saw
honest
the
with you.
theater.
I mean,
It was a little more imposing.
Reagan last week was on the fence between Ambulance and Jaws. I was so disappointed that you didn't choose Ambulance.
Later,
said the same
like
thing,
10,
too.
like it was like later that night. I was like, oh, I should have done Ambulance because I wanted to do Ambulance. I love Jaws and I love the history in it. Like I said, and I'll talk about it later too. The way they filmed it and everything was so cool. But
yeah, but honestly, I was so surprised by how much I enjoyed this movie and how much it held up. I mean, this movie's 48 years old.
Yeah, it still holds up pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah.
And you can barely see Richard Kiel in the outfit. It's really.
Yeah.
I think probably like my biggest complaint in terms of like the plot of the movie is like how it was Alex, is it Mrs. Kittner that went over and like slapped him in the
Yes.
face?
Mhm.
Like you knew.
Yeah.
And like, okay, but he wanted to do something about it. Like he tried to do something about it. So that part just made me mad.
But she didn't know that.
And then the mayor was standing right next to him.
Well, it just made me mad.
Right.
I don't know if
When I realized that
suspenseful as it's made up.
the movie didn't. The first half hour of the movie to me was not that great because there's really only 3 likable characters in the movie.
Mhm.
You know, there's there's Hooper, there's Quint, and there's Brody, and you've only got Brody to carry the first half hour till Dreyfus shows up. Then it gets a bit better. I mean, Quint has that little 2-minute scene early on, but that's about it. And you don't see him till halfway through the movie again.
Yeah.
And that's when the movie gets good. When when the 3 of them are together and they get on the boat, that it becomes an order of magnitude for me better movie than what came before it.
So you're saying for like the first quarter of the movie, it's slow because you have to get the exposition out. And then when you actually get to the main part that everyone wants to see, everyone's really excited about, and that's what people remember. And so
Yeah,
it's
to
like-
a degree, but it's also
I will 100% agree with you, Dave, on the fact that
Sounds
yes,
familiar, Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I will agree that when the movie picks up, they're on the boat. I do have some issues with some of the musical choices when they're on the boat. It becomes
there's
a
some
little
surprisingly upbeat and happy music in a few
yes. It becomes a little. It's like, is this the Goonies? Are we the Goonies? Are we the Goonies on the river? What's going on?
Yeah.
It's just a little happy, a little too happy on the boat.
I think also my problem was in the first half hour. And even the first hour to a degree, I didn't find the other characters. They were so dumb. I mean, they kept just doing dumb things and dumber things, and the coroner changing his mind about the cause of death, and the mayor just it's all about the money, and the grieving mother putting out the reward, causing all of the chaos, and it was just I understood it. It was necessary to set up the movie. I just found the characters really annoying.
Well, I read that Steven Spielberg had said that when he read the book originally, he was rooting for the shark because he felt none of the characters were likable.
Yeah. But that's what I was thinking about as watching it this time, actually. So it's funny that you guys are bringing that up because I was like, we don't care about any of these people. But I wonder if that's kind of the point where it's like you want the shark to be found because you're like, you're driving me crazy. You don't care about this shark. It's eating your children. Pay attention. Are you joking? So like, I feel like that's why we're not meant to like them because it's like, yeah, it's just something like that.
I also
the
just
shark
love
itself
Robert Shaw. He's one of my all-time favorite actors. I mean, whether it's Battle of the Bulge or playing the Heavy in The Sting, he's just, or from Russia with Love when he's the Russian spy. I mean, he just when he's on screen, he just commands the screen.
I feel like the Spielberg kid's got his future. I don't know what you guys think.
I don't know.
Has he done anything after this?
Nothing.
Did we bring that up before?
1941.
He's doing sitcoms now. I believe he's
1941 was the next thing he did.
Yeah.
Which
the reboot of Night Court, I believe, is what he's working on.
And then he had a cameo in some show with a bunch of cartoon dogs.
Yeah.
It was animated. It was kind of manic.
Looking sort of jaundiced. It was.
I don't know what you people are talking about.
But I had I had forgotten for long if I had ever remembered because when I used to watch House, that was how production companies have their taglines at the end of shows, like "Sit Ubu sit" and all of those. Because at the end of House, it was always "That's some bad hat, Harry," and I didn't remember where that came from, and that was an homage to Jaws.
Oh.
Mhm.
There you go. And that's how you somebody up.
The entire movie was also the first time I ever heard about the USS Indianapolis.
Right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And Discovery Channel's like, yeah, we can make a TV movie out of that. I remember like 2008 watching Shark Week.
Here's
The
my
USS
phone pulling up
Indianapolis sank in
information.
open water.
Yeah. Crazy.
And when
I'd never heard of
Shaw's giving the monologue about that, I mean, he just takes over the screen, man. It is,
You're
it's
like,
so
oh,
intense.
he did Shakespeare movies. You don't say.
So the blurb I read about that is that he had done a take the first day. He'd done multiple takes of that the first day while he was actually drunk. And it was just worthless. It was terrible, and everybody was super mad at him. So he contacted Spielberg and asked to do it again the next day, and did the actual take they used in one take the next day.
Cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I turned away and I said, "Have you ever heard of that?" He goes, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, "Never heard of it."
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, way to bring down the room, Quint. Read the room. We're all having fun.
We're gonna die. I mean, come on.
I remembered that Roy Scheider's character lived, and I remembered that Quint's character died. I honestly couldn't remember whether Hooper lived or died because it had been a long time since I'd seen this.
The only thing I remembered about the movie was like the shark eating Quint at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only thing I remembered. Well, yeah, and the girl in the beginning, like on the shirt, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, they say that sharks aren't really this. I sound like Norm Macdonald. Hey, you know, they say that sharks aren't really as mean as they made this movie out to be. Like,
In fact, there are a lot of people that were upset about this movie because it demonized sharks.
Yeah,
Including the person that filmed them, which was really cool. They have a thing on Disney Plus called Swimming with Sharks or something basic like that, but or Playing with Sharks, that's what it's called. And Valerie and Ron, who were credited at the end for filming it, and like the one whenever the shark's stuck in the cage, like that's an actual shot that this shark accidentally got stuck in the cage and he like flipped himself into the boat, like all this craziness. So like they were actually in the very beginning of the movie as well, but she released she was a diver and she released this Disney Plus thing, and I watched it at the beginning of last year. And it was so cool because like she was talking about Jaws and she was talking about how they filmed it. They were super excited to film it. They like that's what they made money on was filming sharks underwater, like camera, like all that stuff. That's what they did in Australia. And so they got asked to help do this movie. And so afterwards they had to do a lot of press because sharks like don't hunt you down. Sharks don't like maliciously like, oh, let's kill this person because they're in the water. Like they bite you because one, they think that you're food. They don't understand that you're a human. They don't care that you're a human because technically you are food, but they don't really come back because they know that you're not what they usually eat. Plus they like use their teeth to feel. So like there's like that's what it is. So it's all that I don't know. So it's like all that's the only part about the movie that makes me mad is like that it's like this malicious shark. So she
it got real personal for the shark at the end of the movie.
Right. So at the end, she was like, she had talked about in this documentary, she had talked about all of the press that they had to do afterwards. And they had to be like, well, that's not why we made this movie. Don't go hunting sharks because you think that it's going to be like Jaws. Like, don't do that. It's actually the opposite, where it's like, they are submarines with teeth. That's what they are. They will bite you. Don't pretend like they're puppy dogs, but at the same time, they're not as harmful as people see them as.
Yeah.
Because that's their home. We're in it. So,
yeah.
It makes you think about Shark Week. Like, is it just awareness about how docile and non-threatening these creatures usually are, or is it actually, oh, you guys like Jaws, do you? Well, we got a week full of that kind of shit.
Let's show you some shark stuff. There you go.
Shark stuff.
Wait, nobody ever hosts Shark Week more than once for some reason. I don't know why.
Whoa.
Speaking of Shark Week, who here has seen the Mythbusters episode on Jaws?
Oh, I've seen every episode of Mythbusters.
I'm sure I saw it at some point. I don't remember though.
Yeah, so they tested a bunch of stuff. Sharks being able to detect 1 drop of human blood in the water, that's false.
Oh, good.
They did the whole shark being able to drag the air barrels thing. That was proven false. The coolest thing, of course, was could they have blown up the shark? I'm gonna give you guys an inspired guess. What the end of this movie should have been.
The shark being pushed in the water by the air jetting out of the hole in the tank.
Yeah, no, what should have they said what should have happened was the bullet hit the barrel, flew up in the air, hit the shark. No, of course, it wouldn't have happened. No.
Yeah.
It's too thick. It's too thick.
Yeah, it's a little Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. But it was the first Hollywood.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we demand more realism from our movies, like Howard the Duck and Sergeant Pepper.
Oh, yeah. And who's that girl? And don't forget who's that girl.
Who's that girl? I've been trying to forget who's that girl for a couple of weeks now.
So yeah, back like talking about that stuff. Back in '75, I know that's what like my one cousin was complaining that that shark was biting everything. He would have just bit that tank in half, and it would just fizzed out on his teeth, and that'd have been the end of it. But
yeah, carp shark.
Exactly. Must not have been like tasty or something.
Mm-hmm. So
I definitely think there was a lot of it that was cheesy. I mean, like it was enjoyable, but it was definitely cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was the 70s. Most things
Yeah.
were cheesy in the 70s.
Yeah. Hey, remember the 70s?
Yeah, it wasn't that cheesy.
They kind of had to be because everyone else was going to those art movies for the last 15 years, and studios are like, "Oh crap, no one's coming to see movies. What do we do?"
Let's blow up a shark.
It lost Best Picture that year to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So.
Oh my God.
Wait, Jaws won Best Pick?
No, it lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
yeah.
Nest.
Oh well, it should have lost. Yeah.
But it was nominated.
It was.
Well, let's find out how much it should have lost by.
And
as we throw out some numbers and some ratings.
75 was a good
He was
year for
nominated
movies.
as Best Director.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're going to throw some numbers around and find out what you really thought of Jaws.
The EriDan rating bot 6000 is now activated.
Calculating.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, we
You're
lost
really
some.
using all the old
Lost
ones, huh?
Cody.
Bye, Cody.
Oh, bye, Cody.
Yeah, I'm going back to the classics until I have something new.
All right. Well, let's bring up the riders since Chum.
He's literally a puppet. You could have just.
Hey, Chum.
I'll give it, I think, like a 92 because I mean, obviously, there's like parts of it that like it's not the greatest movie that you've ever seen, but I love like knowing all of the history with like the filming, and I think that for whenever it was made, like that's so cool. Like it's so interesting that they were able to get like a lot of it is a fake shark. I get that, but at the same time, there's a lot of actual underwater shots that were so cool and just like different things that they were able to do. And then, especially at that time, like they were talking about, like everybody was trying to make shark fin soup and they were killing all these sharks. And then they were like, oh no, the shark's going to eat us, even though we don't even go swimming in the ocean. Let's kill it. Like all of that kind of stuff. And I'm not really a person that's super into any of that stuff. I'm not like, oh my gosh, let's save the, like that stuff's important though. And I think that it's cool that they were able to use this movie for that. And I just think that for the time that it was made, that they did really well with it. And I think there were certain parts of it that they had to figure out, hey, this is important right now. Let's make these people seem this way. Let's do this with this, all that. Like the shark's the main character. Again, like I said, there are some pieces of it that I don't like the shark just getting real personal. Like that's weird, but that doesn't happen. But at the same time, it made a good movie, and yeah, 92.
Very nice.
Nice. Yeah, so the first time I saw this in the theaters, I went with my aunt and uncle. And my uncle was like this huge, big, boisterous laughing guy. And he laughed through most of it. So funny. But
Sorry, wrong movie.
It is a it holds up. I'll have to definitely say that. And it's still worth watching every once in a while. And thinking what I'll give it. I'll give it a 90. I think it was worth that.
Nice.
All
right, Stacy.
All right.
You made it.
Okay.
You made it through Jaws.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you too, Eric.
She jumped pretty hard when the guy's head rolled out of the boat, though.
Yeah.
Which I knew was going to happen. You could see it was coming. And I'm like, oh, that guy's face is going to appear. And then I got relaxed, stupid. And then boom.
How they get you.
He did the same gag in Raiders at the beginning of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, great.
Oh my gosh. So I remember going to SeaWorld around the time this came out. It was after first grade, 4th of July weekend, to see the great white shark. We thought we were going to see the great white shark. I don't know why we thought that, because I was too little to remember.
Grandma probably told you.
Well, yeah, well, Grandma thought we were going to see it too.
Oh yeah, they just had the jaws.
It was just the big jaw, and I don't remember seeing that, but she was not happy. That was in Aurora, Ohio. We went to see that. So I remember that.
Near SeaWorld.
Yeah. So it was, that's what I remember about Jaws. And I think I said this last week that my first grade teacher had the record album in her classroom. And one of the girls in my Bluebirds group said, have you seen the album in Mrs. Beaver's room? And I'm like, no. And there's a naked lady on it. I had to run down the hall to her classroom and see that. Those are my things that I remember about Jaws.
Wow. She was covered in bubbles.
I know she was. I was just like, what?
His name was Bubbles?
I know.
Bubbles! Naked lady Bubbles!
It was the diver. Yeah.
So anyway, those are my stories about Jaws. I found this movie to be a lot better than I expected to be. It still scares the crap out of me at the beginning, and I think that is John Williams' brilliance. I love John Williams. Every time I can tell his music now from anything. It's just, he's great. So he really bumped my score up too. I think I'm going to give it an 88.
An 88.
88.7.
All right. Dave popped off for a second. I was going to make him next, and I still will. That's some bad hat, Harry.
It's one of those movies that even if it's not your kind of movie, you have to respect what a skillfully made movie it is. I mean, it really is well done from beginning to end. You could tell, even though Spielberg was still very early in his career, I think this was barely his second major studio movie after what, Sugarland Express? Was that the first one with Goldie Hawn?
Yeah, and Duel was a TV movie.
And so he was really at the very beginning of his career. And you want to talk about coming out of the gate with a bang. I mean, this just blew the doors off the box office. It was an absolute cultural phenomenon. I do think it's very much the second half so much better than the first. And I agree that you needed to set up the second half for it to work. But I just found the second half to be an engaging, just riveting movie. And the first half to be, okay, you know. And so much of that, though, is down to the three leads, because Robert Shaw's always good. Roy Scheider is almost always good. Dreyfuss is more hit or miss, but when he's good, he's amazing. And I think he was at his best in this movie. He was really, that character really worked. You really believed him, that he was who he was portraying. And so I just love that whole that last hour. Just I could not turn away. And so it really did work for me. The first half does pull down the rating a bit. Not that Spielberg cares, but you know, it's only an 88 for me, but I do really love it.
Wow.
All right, let's go over to Brittany.
Oh me.
Oh me. Oh my.
I like this movie. It's silly, but it's enjoyable. I think actually I think I'm with Reagan. I think the first time I ever watched it was 2020 as well. It was on something that was streaming, and I was like, I've never seen this. I should just watch it. I think I watched the first two, maybe. I don't know. But and then I think I also watched Playing with Sharks too. So that's funny. I don't know. It's fun. It's cheesy. I saw something on Facebook that popped up that kind of got me a little bit interested, where Alex Kittner and his mom, like the actress and the actor, actually met back in the same town. The actor like opened a restaurant, I guess.
Oh.
Named after the character, and then he like met his like mom there, and they had this like weird awkward gag that nobody understood but them, where he came over and he's like, I think, you know, I died in a previous life and you remind me of my mom or whatever. And she figured out it was him, and she was like, oh, you remind me of my son that I lost in the ocean. And it was cute. I don't know. So I was like, I want to see this movie.
Well, yes, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then there was another movie that's on my list of suggestions that's rated very low on Rotten Tomatoes, but there's like a couple nods to Jaws in it. So the whole time I'm watching that, I'm thinking of this. But I think I'm gonna give it an 86 because the shark ate 6 people.
Wow.
Wow, that's interesting. Scott, our first timer.
Woo! Okay, so.
And you're not my lackey, please.
Is that the lackey noise? Okay, so I will start this off by saying this is Steven Spielberg's best movie. Now,
wait, first movie or best movie?
Well,
first best.
First best movie.
It's his first best movie.
I also personally think it is his top movie, and there's a reason for that. Think about how many first-time filmmakers have tried to copy this film. Right. Just a big, scary thing going after people who are dealing with their own personal trauma, blah, 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 and it's manifested into this thing. I mean, right off the back, any of the Halloween horror films, Babadook, the last 10 years, Terminator. They're just, if you're looking for a movie, Princess Diaries, Raiders and the Boulder, Grease in the Car, Johnny Depp and the Black Pearl, and there's actually no pearl in the movie. What a ripoff. But it's such an easy concept to do, and he proved not only that he could do it better than anybody else, but he was the first person to do it. And he did that by applying a lot of his film knowledge and his editing knowledge. I actually call this a Hitchcock movie. There's a lot of Hitchcockian tropes that you can find in there. Actors playing against type,
Cockian,
use suspense, using exposition in a clever way to actually build character and not just have it be out there. I think the first half actually is bearable in a way because it does kind of have to suck you in, and it plays that rule that we grew up learning about, which is you wait to show the monster and prove the characters can stand on their own. And yes, it turns into this economic political story that would later serve to inspire the Phantom Menace. But again, it's the first movie to do it.
So it's to blame for the Phantom Menace?
Oh, 100%. You could blame Steven Spielberg for the Phantom Menace, guys, in case you were wondering. I think it's well shot. I think it shows off Steven Spielberg as an editor. In film school, it is almost law that you watch this movie in a theater. I watched it on a phone, and then I watched it in a theater.
Well, you are Dan's friend.
Yeah. And in the theater, it was phenomenal, and you definitely feel that. So I'm inclined to say this is definitely a top film that anybody who's actually interested in what makes a good scary movie should see. I'm going to give it a 95 out of 100 because there were 5 people who did not get killed in the movie.
I also liked how there were times when it set up and looked like somebody else was going to die, and then they didn't. Like the 2 guys on the dock.
Yeah.
And that was very skillful filmmaking, because it would have been so easy to just chalk up another body count. And instead, it was just a scene that just showed, another
old switcheroo.
Yeah, he actually purposely said that he had to throw humor in there because he didn't want this to be, a horror film through and through, and he wanted to do it differently than Duel. I mean, this is literally Duel 2.0, and he was actually scared of being being the truck and shark filmmaker. And so he actually almost backed out of this. And then his producers said, okay, make this movie and you can make whatever you want. And
that's what happened.
It's like Duel, but instead of
Brian, we're gonna get you
later instead of Dennis Weaver.
It's all good.
Yeah, exactly.
And Brian.
So I feel bad. I'm going to give it as high a score as everybody else. I know I'm wearing the shirt. I didn't buy it.
He bought the merch, but he doesn't like.
I did it. He bought it for me because I went to film school. Yeah.
Speaking of merch, if you want to get merch,
right? Yeah, on EriDan. Yeah, there you go.
You should EriDan.
So I get like really bored watching the beginning of this movie. I fell asleep when I watched it for the first time. Up when the ship was like sinking. Oh, you can't see my sinking. and then the shark was eating the guy and everything. Yeah, so I don't know, but I watched it all the way through this time, and I had coffee, so I didn't hate it. Like me and my dad watched it, and we both were like, yeah, it's like an 80 for us. So
That's not bad.
That's not hate.
Yeah, no,
That's not hate.
I liked it.
That's still respectable.
I didn't love it, so.
All right. Well, there you go. 80 it
Still
is.
45 points higher than Adam.
EriDanShop.com. I've got my mom's score. Oh wait, she put it in the comments. She also texted me. She saw it in 75 and thought it was great. Not so much now. She gave it a 75. and what she texted me was, I did see it in 1975. I remember it being really scary and a great movie, but now it seemed poorly edited, and at some points, poorly edited. My mom's is criticizing editing now, and at some points, she was happy when it ended. And the first thing she said when she watched it, she said, "Watch Jaws. Memory of it was way better than seeing it again." Meh.
I will say it probably makes a big difference seeing it on a small screen versus a big screen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like this is on my list.
My dad's first reaction at the ending was like, and they made like 3 more.
They're like, wait, they really did need a bigger.
Did you see how much money it made?
Oh, the Jaws sequels don't count.
Yeah, the sequels don't count.
It wasn't that good.
All right, so everybody said it already. You know what I mean? We're running long in the tooth. What does that mean?
It's only been 42 minutes. Come on.
So
you're a beaver and you're not chewing down trees.
I think it's definitely. I agree with Scott. It's a must see. I mean, there's so many things to it. And when I was watching it, I kept thinking, I kept having to remind myself this was 1975.
Yeah.
This was 1975. Yes, things are going to look bad.
Yeah.
This was 1975. If the movie looked like that now, it would be Sharknado.
Right.
That's why I put Sharknado up, but it's not. So I think it's a solid 90.
90. They're nice.
Mr. Schlemmer?
I avoided this movie for my entire life.
Yes, same.
I have no interest, so I thank Reagan for bringing this movie to the light. I was so excited to have not hated this movie, and it is impressively made. I think the things that could have made it really cheesy or Sharknado-ish, they avoided. They knew they didn't have a great-looking shark, so you don't see the shark for very long up close. You know, because the scenes that those are the weakest scenes where you're actually seeing the shark going, really? But I mean, they do a great job of building tension. For me, the filmmaking is really on point. And for a movie this old, you know, to have no nostalgia for it, in fact, reverse nostalgia.
We watch movies from the 40s.
Well, I get that, right? But that's different too, right? Because this still feels very modern in the feel to it. You don't have to, when you watch a movie for the 40s, you go, well, things were different back then. Yeah. This to me, like the 70s, I don't necessarily look at that way.
Yeah, look at the shark did to that broad over there.
I think if I saw an action movie from the 40s, I might be a little more critical. But I found this very enjoyable. I like this not a lot. I was going to give it an 89.
Either, I will point out.
That's true. I was going to give it an 89 because 789, but I am going to give it an 88 instead because that to me is more where it belongs. So
now, Adam's thing, movie is definitely aged, and you can tell the shark animatronic is laughable compared to today. No shit. I mean, it's 1975. Okay, yeah.
Most if that movie had been made in 1925, it would have been cardboard like this.
Yeah.
So Adam gives it a 35. Now, how many people have ever been to Universal Studios and you saw the shark at Universal Studios?
Yeah. And even though it looked like that, it scared the crap out of me.
It still scares you.
Yeah.
Fun fact. So Hitchcock was the voice of the Universal Studios ride. And this was within 10 years of Spielberg trying to meet him and him turning him down. And Spielberg finally wanted to meet him again after he became the voice for the ride. And he said, no. And the reason why he revealed it later to a friend was because I felt like a whore. I was doing the voice for this ride for a person I never wanted to meet, and I was doing it for the studio. I felt like a whore.
Wow.
I find it impressive that Adam liked this movie less than Power Rangers.
Which
That really is saying something.
Oh,
That really is
fireworks!
saying
We need fireworks!
If we reviewed it 20 years ago, his score would have been higher. Well, that doesn't make okay, Adam. I don't know what to
Yeah,
go.
he would have been 12. So
I mean, 20 years from now, this is going to get like a 0. Things get better with age. Although this did, like my mom said, it's
great. There are parts of it that have aged. There's no question, but the performances in this and the direction and editing don't age.
Jaws could not beat out Wonder Woman from 2007.
It's right in between our movies.
Jaws scores at 82.45.
Yeah, but Jaws is the first pager. That's pretty impressive.
It is a first pager. It absolutely.
There were a lot of movies
Pager,
that-
beating out Beauty and the Beast and Waiting for Government.
So at least there's a Hitchcock film ahead of it. You know, you got Rear Window up there.
That is very true. That is very true.
I am so confused by this list.
Oh, Scott, you have no idea.
One thing that really irritated me about, like, I enjoyed Quint, except like he was almost too much. Like he was too much. Like that's just. But like
You're
to
right,
go
Adam.
in with a baseball bat and smash the radio.
Yeah. What the heck was that about?
Like, I understand if you have this process and you want to do things your way.
He is a man with an obsession. I mean, he is
right,
Ahab.
but literally, like to take away your only
He's Captain
communication out
Ahab.
the world should you
I
need
mean,
to
he's
rescue.
he's like any
White
obsessed
shark.
character in a movie.
Imagine if Gregory Peck was in Jaws.
Yeah. You can picture Peck doing that. Yeah.
Imagine if
For
William
the love
Shatner.
of God, get that shark.
Yeah, Richard Burton. Yeah.
What if William Shatner?
All
was a
sharks
shark?
are created equal.
Max Monsignor.
We're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel like
Scott,
next week
get a
we
bigger
want
boat.
to watch the Meg.
Where's the Enterprise when I need it?
All right.
Patrick
Well, I think
Stewart
it's
can do it.
time to move on.
Yes.
Pick a movie for next week, shall we?
The wheel
Ah,
of
yes.
wheels.
It's the Wheel of Adams. I mean, of real.
There's a lot of Adams. There's a lot of Daves on this wheel. For
There's
those who
one
don't
Scott.
know, you get one spot on the wheel for every score you submit. So every time you rate a movie with us, you get one spot on the wheel. So Scott has a single
Hey.
spot on the wheel. We'll see what happens. This has
Assuming Scott's
happened
planning to be here
before.
next week.
This has happened before, where somebody's first time joining us, their name comes up on the wheel. So we will spin the wheel. We're going to give it a shuffle as always.
My money's on a rider. I don't know why.
It'll probably be me.
We just went on history here. Huh?
Right, exactly right. So let's find out what we got here. Who gets to choose our movie for next week? The choice goes to dun dun dun. Oh, it's Brian.
Brian!
Brian.
Oh no!
Jaws
You gotta
2.
give me some time.
Oh man! All right. Well, we will give Brian a little time,
Jaws 2 is
as
the
always, to come up with a movie, and we'll of course check to make sure that what your choice is available somewhere.
Oh, I'm on my
Brian-
tablet. You can see my. That's funny. Sorry.
Wash your hands.
Brian picked the TV show that we're doing, and now he's picking.
Right.
The movie.
Now he gets to pick the movie.
When do we
Oh,
do the TV show?
man.
Is that next week or the following week?
So that's
the
the
last-
following week.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
gonna be
next week will be Brian's choice. You know,
Do
Well, he can do
Brian's
Brian's song.
Yeah.
you could do Brian's song. You know, if it
The
would have
life
been
of
me, I would have chosen Valentine's Day because it's tomorrow. But
Brian's
this
song
is-
is much too much of a tearjerker, but
Adam thinks it's rigged.
this is definitely
Adam thinks it's rigged.
It wasn't a rider, so it's not.
well,
Right.
while we wait for Brian to have his choice, we'll talk about what else people have been watching.
You've played that VHS a lot.
Yeah. Our tracking's off.
Yeah, you know, it happens. It happens.
God.
Well,
I saw Titanic this weekend.
how did?
Oh.
No,
did
don't tell
you
me how it
really?
ended.
Oh,
Yeah. It's my third time seeing it. It was actually the first film I saw when I was a freshman in school. I saw it on my RA's dinky 90s TV.
Nice.
And then I saw it at home because my girlfriend at the time recommended it. So this is my third time seeing it. It's definitely a theater movie.
Yes.
Like we thought the first half of this movie was slow. Some people like first hour of Titanic is like, oh,
and there's still 4 hours to go.
Right.
Yes.
It's a real time movie, and they just left the dock.
Exactly.
So my friend Richard Malzahn, who's been on the show a couple of times with us, he did a few visual effects in the movie Titanic.
Wow.
And one of them was
I love the wows. Thank you all for the wow.
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 Wow. We're doing our own Wilson from last week. Wow.
Does that count for one of these?
This name drop is sponsored in part by Aglets. Oh yeah, baby. You know what I'm talking about.
You ever seen that Skechers commercial where the kids eat the shoe?
Yeah.
Oh,
my
we lost
God.
Brian.
Oh, Brian.
He's too
close
busy
for that
thinking.
movie.
He was so moved by
He can't take the stress.
He went to check his DVD.
But he said there was a scene where apparently there were like lines in the glass in the one shot, and another scene they didn't use security glass when like Leo's like locked up or something. I haven't seen the movie in years. So he had to go in and take out those lines. And while he was doing it, he said to them, "Hey, did you notice that the scum line on the side of the boat is inconsistent?" And James Cameron apparently has never like been a one take person for effects. He's always makes you go back and do it better. And both the effects he did, James Cameron took perfect. Thank you. So he did He did those two because the boat, they're in a real boat for a while, so the water level had changed. That's all. I
Remember
tell the story better.
The scene in speaking of Spielberg in Raiders of the Lost Ark when he falls into the pit with the snakes, and you can see in one scene the reflection, so you can see the glass between Indy and the snakes.
Yeah, and some of the sand hits up against it too.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the
We've
effects of that have
Cameron
aged
in the
very
past.
poorly. I knew they were on a model ship.
Yeah.
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 And Billy Zane with hair.
And you are far
Come
from
on.
the first person who says, "I saw Titanic because the woman in my life asked me to."
I actually saw it alone. It's the only person in the theater. I'm like, yep, that sounds about right.
Wow.
Why is it playing at the theater right now?
Brian said he hit the wrong button.
25th
Oh,
anniversary.
Dan, it was here too.
Oh.
Well, we got another rating.
It was Wade's idea to go see it.
Oh, how about this? Oh, here comes Amanda.
Hey, man.
Change the tide. Nope, she made it worse.
Yeah.
Not by much.
Not by much. 72.
Not by much. No, I did drop it a little bit in the rankings, though.
And of course, she's on this account. This is Amanda. We knew.
That's okay. That's all right.
We see your picture.
Your
Oh,
score.
your blue mustache.
Is that a puppet of Dave?
No, that's from a time we went to see Avenue Q, I believe, at a local production.
Oh, that's cool.
I totally think it's supposed to be you, though,
Avenue
Dave.
Blue.
Yeah, my blue hair stands out.
Now, Brian,
Yes.
while you were gone, did you pick a
Okay.
movie?
All right. Did I pick a movie while I was gone? I think I did.
Uh-oh.
Yes, he did.
It's Ambulance.
No.
It's another Michael Bay movie.
Jaws 3.
Wishing.
Jaws 4.
I think
Revenge.
we were going through a particular series.
Oh no. There
Yeah,
we
I
go.
know.
Oh.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to follow up with that and go Harry Potter 4. I think we're on.
Yes,
Yep.
4 would be the next
I
one.
believe you are correct. That would be Goblet of Fire.
Do you want my score for it?
We lost
Scott and
Scott.
Adam are going to agree on this one.
The Bullets movie. Okay.
Called the
It is
Mullet
the-
movie?
Yes.
It is the book that I found the most hard to slog through. I thought the movie was better than the book because
We're already
the
rating
book
this.
was just 100 pages could have been ripped out and
We
thrown
can
away.
just rate this now and get to pick another movie. Let's spin the wheel again.
Well, I
Very
told you
good.
I wrote my
Goblet
rating
of Fire
down when I watched it at Christmas. so
Available
I
to
already have
watch
a rating
on
for it.
Fubo, Peacock, DirecTV, and of course available for rent and your local library as always.
Yep.
At our house in 4K.
Worded already.
He's still Harry Pottered out.
You're Harry Potter
I've
out. Haven't you been playing
He looks
Hogwarts
like
Legacy?
Hagrid. I don't know why he would be.
What do you think?
That's better looking like a
It does
Dursley.
pretty well on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
An 88 and a 74.
I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen 4, so I have no idea.
It's in my bottom 3 Harry Potter movies, probably.
I mean, I don't remember very many scenes other than him jumping out of the water. So, like,
there's a lot they cut out that was in the book too. This is supposed to be where Dobby comes back. Oh, I'm so sorry, Adam. I don't even know you. I don't think I can hate you.
He means based on picking the movie, where that movie is directed at him in his.
Oh, well, no. If Scott, you met Adam at the screening. He was the guy with the long beard.
Oh,
yeah.
So
I was thinking of
wow.
that.
Maybe you'll like it better this time, Adam. Maybe it'll be a revelation.
The best thing about this, though,
Oh,
is
wow.
we need to get Adam off the wheel. So I own about half the wheel all by myself.
You will own the wheel when that happens. That is.
Why don't we just next week make the wheel Dave and Adam, and the following week make the wheel Dave and Adam?
I'm fine with waiting my turn.
Brian actually has not had a single movie choice since August. Right?
Wow.
Brian actually had quite a few spaces on the wheel as well. As a regular, so he did have quite a few spaces to get there, to get chosen this week.
I'm willing to let the fates make the choice.
Yeah, but it is going to be very heavily weighted towards Adam and Dave next week because it has been quite some time.
Yeah.
Although let's see. No, next week, 2 weeks.
Although next week we will not be spinning the wheel because we're going to attempt at the end of the month to have the last show just be about the TV series we're watching. So next week, we're going to try an experiment and not have a movie and only talk about the TV series for the month, for the very last week. So
we actually
a free reign to watch as much Star Trek Deep Space
Has
Nine
anybody watched any of it?
I have acquired it. I have not yet rewatched it. I watched it way back in the day, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
No, Richard's been making me watch like a bunch of like old creepy, like we watched The Faculty in 1408 and
your body language right now, Brittany, is just.
I don't like scary movies, and these are not scary to him. They're not enjoyable.
They're deep.
Faculty though.
Yeah, he made me watch The Faculty, which it wasn't bad. It was cheesy.
It's cheesy. I enjoyed The Faculty.
It is
for the cheese.
But I haven't watched any Deep Space Nine because we've been watching all the silly old movies.
Watched that
and playing ridiculous amounts of Hogwarts.
I'm probably going to start Deep Space Nine this coming week a little bit.
You know, one of the best Deep Space Nines is the one where they go back in time and they go into an old Star Trek episode. Is that one of your selections?
That is one that's on the list. Yep.
Oh, that one's so good because they're like, those are Klingons, and he's like, Worf goes,
yeah.
It's a long story.
We don't talk about them.
We don't talk about them.
I can't remember.
Oh my gosh. What episode is that, Brian?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
It's like season 5, episode 6 or 9. I just was looking at it.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that. We'll have to do a jump.
It's enjoyable. I wrote something about time travel after it, so it's on that list I wrote out.
I think are we done with Fringe
It's
this week?
season 5, episode 6, Trials and
Is
Tribulations.
this why you were watching Fringe?
He's always watching Fringe.
I always watch Fringe.
Oh, okay.
That's always my. This is my 5th time, my 5th go through, 4th or 5th go through.
That's a lot of Fringe.
I did it during the beginning of the pandemic, and then I just started again because now it's on HBO Max. Before it was on IMDb TV, which is now Freevee, so I had to sit through commercials. But now it's on HBO, and it's actually the 10th most watched show on HBO right now.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Because I keep saying I want Anna Torv to play Leah.
I heard that Amazon is doing a live-action Spider-Man noir series.
Oh yeah,
Really?
No way.
Yeah.
How do they get that license?
I don't know.
Money.
Probably
some money. If
Amazon
Jeff
money.
Bezos only had a few dollars to spare.
I think so. I think Sony still owns
Sony-
Spider-Man. They just license it back to Marvel for their
Yeah, that's right.
So
They
and
have
they're both in
Fantastic
Culver
Four
City,
back
so
now,
maybe
but they
they're
don't
just
fully have Spider-Man back.
maybe they just went over to because they're both they're both studios are.
Well, it's like in Spinal Tap when they were singing over Elvis's grave, and the only song they could get the rights to do was Heartbreak Hotel because Hoyt Axton had written it, and his widow gave them permission.
So
because
funny.
the Elvis estate was so tightly controlling of their properties, they wouldn't let him use anything else.
Wow. Wow.
Dan,
Dang.
I need to tell you this. I kept forgetting about this. Right now, I don't know what made me think about it. But on February 17th through the 19th, the whole cast of Back to the Future is going to be at a con in Portland.
I know.
I saw it the other day and I was like, gotta tell this man.
Yeah, I'm not going.
Well, I'll see Doc Brown for you.
I got a Doc Brown. I already met him and he signed my license plate.
He's going to be in Cleveland. I was going to buy tickets to go see Dexter, as we all know. And then Zachary Levi was like, hey, I'll be in Cleveland. And I was like, so he's going to be there. Like the doc is going to be there too. So I was like, and Christina Ricci. And I was like,
wow, that's awesome. That's Richard Dreyfuss is coming to the con in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
So if you wanted to get your onesie,
Your
signed.
shark suit.
yeah.
If only Louis,
If you're a big
Julia Louis Dreyfus
Goodbye
would come.
Girl fan, you can go get your autograph.
That's right.
Adam watched the Super Bowl.
Great movie.
Yes.
He's been binging
Binging.
Hogwarts Legacy.
No
You're
wonder
binging
you're Harry
Hogwarts
Potter
Legacy,
now.
You don't want to watch the
Okay.
movie.
But I have to say, they did a much better job with Hogwarts in this game than they did in the movies.
Yeah.
Like
It's legit.
like it's so much more reflective of the books.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I also feel I
It's
do
just
always
very
miss Richard Harris as Dumbledore. The second Dumbledore just doesn't work as well for me.
Well, there's,
Harris had to die, so
I know
Gryffindor?
he had to go up and die on them, but yeah.
I know.
Yeah, seriously. Way to get out of a contract, Richard.
Right?
Really. Glad Daniel Radcliffe didn't go that route.
No, he just became Weird Al.
He did. He became Weird Al. He also,
Really?
if you've never seen Miracle Workers, I've plugged it before. Season 1 of Miracle Workers with Steve Buscemi and Daniel Radcliffe is wonderful.
I think we saw a couple of those.
All right, so I'm super happy. I'm super excited to talk about. I don't know if anybody's watched this yet or not. There is a relatively new series on Hulu that we watched we binged the whole series in one night. It's only 8 episodes and it's called Extraordinary. I highly recommend this movie. It's a world where almost everybody has superpowers of one way or another, except for the main character who has none. And has none that seems to be revealing yet. It is amazing.
Oh, it's Sky High.
It is like a cross between The Boys, New Girl, and Young Ones. It's very British, but it is fantastic. It is so weird, so awesome. Highly recommend. It's
in a world where everybody's a superhero. If you're not, then you're the hero.
So it's foul, you said?
It has some foul humor in it. You know, it's not as foul as The Boys. So if you think, if anybody who's watched The Boys on is that on Amazon? Yeah.
Yes.
It's not that
It's harder to
level.
get much more over the top than The Boys.
It's not that level of juvenile humor, but it does go a few times a little blue. But it's not extremely bad.
It reminds me of the book by Piers Anthony, A Spell for Chameleon, where he's the only person who in his community who doesn't have a magic power.
Yes. And I will say that it's not that everybody's superheroes. In fact, there's very few people trying to be superheroes, but everybody has a power one way or another.
And is it like in The Spell for Chameleon, some people have really lame powers?
Yes, that is correct. And I don't want to say what the powers are in case you're going to, because some of the funniest jokes are finding out what certain people's powers are. And it's like, oh, that's hilarious. Like it's really, really good. How it's really funny and sweet at times and disturbing at other times, but it's super fun. And it's only 8 episodes, 30-minute episodes. We ended up just binging it all 4 hours of it in a night. It was awesome.
All right,
we
real
did
quick.
watch the first 2 episodes of the new series, Not Dead Yet, with Gina Rodriguez. It also has the actress who played Cece on New Girl. It's hard to say yet. It's only 2 episodes in. It has potential. It's not there yet. it's sort of almost trying to be like a slightly Quantum Leap-ish in the sense that she's writing obituaries, and the person she's writing about appears to her, and they follow her around until she finishes writing the obituary. But obviously, there's something that she has to do with them, whether it's to improve herself or to resolve something they left behind.
Yeah.
It has potential. It's yet to be seen because it's all going to depend on the writing. And I think the casting is good enough to support it. And the concept's good enough. It's just all going to depend on whether the writing can live up to it.
My question is, what's everybody's power? I do have a secret power. I'll share it with everybody. I can identify a peanut M&M that is in fact peanutless.
Okay.
Isn't that just regular?
Power is the ability to turn people into
I will find the one that's missing the peanut.
Wow.
And not every bag has one. So
I
it's
thought your power was the ability to turn normal people into lackeys.
Yeah, somehow Scott became a
Scott sent
lackey.
over a copy of his powers. If you're curious, what Scott can do. Scott can
there's the
apparently
commercial.
Eat a shoe.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
I do, yeah.
I
remember the clock.
And then dance about it until the shoe comes back.
And then
That
she
is
says,
a
Skechers,
weird
they're
commercial.
delicious.
Wow, I wonder how many kids ate their shoe.
They're too busy eating Tide Pods. They don't eat their
Yeah.
Not true.
I just saw Skechers has a slip-on shoe that I have these shoes called Kizik's, which have like this back thing that you can slip your shoe on because I'm too lazy now. And I hear Skechers has them now. I think I saw an ad during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they mainly run them for senior citizens, but yes.
Well, I keep seeing things that are for 50 and over. I'm like, oh,
for
there's
people
old
who have trouble bending over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just described me twice. Thank you.
Wow.
My mom wants some.
Kizik's are they're very comfortable too.
Well, Skechers
Wow.
are comfortable, so it doesn't matter.
Wow.
So how long is the next Harry Potter movie?
Too long.
3.5 days.
So we're going to do an entire show talking about Deep Space Nine.
That's the plan.
That's it.
And then we'll talk about what else people have been watching.
Be prepared, Brian.
We've had
I got
times
it.
when we've had the TV show we've like shortchanged it because we're discussing a movie for an hour.
That's
and
true.
then let's talk about the TV show, and also people sometimes don't have the time to watch because they say they've been too busy. Well, this time you're given the week off, no movie to watch.
All
At least
right.
watch an episode
Yeah,
or two.
it's an experiment. This is a social experiment.
This whole thing is a social experiment.
If it's a terrible failure, we will move on.
Well, when we talk about it, we have to have 9 people.
Yeah, we have to have 9.
All right.
Because it's Deep Space
We've
Nine,
got
I'm
9
thinking.
right now. There's 9 here.
Technically, we do have 9. They're just
That's true.
3 and 1. They all have to get their own room next time.
Yeah, we could
Yeah,
do
if
that.
Cody tries to get on, we'll tell him there's no room.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Need a bigger boat.
We might.
So
need a-
did anybody have a favorite Super Bowl commercial?
Jesse worked on one.
We didn't watch it.
We didn't watch them.
I was telling this to Eric earlier. My favorite was a pretty minor one. It was one for Tubi where they made it look like you were going back to the Super Bowl and then brought up your streaming menu and were switching to another channel in the middle of the show. And it was simple, but it was really clever.
Was that Tubi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tubi. We sometimes call our dog Tubi.
The Amazon dog commercial almost had me flip my table. I was so angry until they show what the ending was.
I missed that one.
Okay, so basically your main character is a dog because heartstrings tug. It's during the pandemic and the dog's gotten used to everyone working at home, like getting snacks from dad, and the kids are doing Zoom classes. And then the pandemic ends and everyone starts going back to normal, like leaving the dog at home. And the dog is so sad just watching everyone go. And of course it starts, doing what dogs do when they're stressed out, going through the garbage, ripping up stuff, and everyone's getting angrier and angrier and disappointed. And you see them go to Amazon and they are looking up dog kennels. And I'm like, oh no, you are not putting this dog in a dog kennel. That kennel is way too small for that dog. Oh my God, what are you doing? They bought the kennel. Oh God. And it turns out they're actually picking up another dog so they can be his best friend. There it is.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was cute.
I don't know if you should play the volume or not. I know last week we the SNL clip you played
SNL blocked us.
Yeah, but
You know,
usually ads you can play with impunity because ads they want everyone to watch as many times as possible.
They should.
And then we got. Did you see we got blocked for something from 2020? It was like Universal Music Group has blocked your episode from 10 something 2020. Like, good for you. Why are you
wasting any time?
There was an episode of Conan O'Brien where he actually found a video of some kid like doing something funny and he put on his show. It was originally on YouTube. They struck down the original video because they said it was the property of the Conan O'Brien show.
Oh, wow.
System's broken.
Yep.
Wow,
Oh, it's
look at
badly
this.
broken. Copyright in general is badly broken. But
This is
I was
full on
listening to Conan's podcast the other day, and he was talking about when he appeared on Murderville, and which I do highly recommend. If you haven't watched Murderville, if you like improvisational humor at all, you got to watch Murderville. His episode, he was saying that they really kept you in. The whole premise is Will Arnett plays this police detective who gets a new partner every week, and the partner is some famous person, usually an actor, not always, who has no idea what's going on. They don't have a script. They were not briefed on anything. And Conan O'Brien was saying that they literally tell you nothing. He said other than knowing he was appearing in some detective show with Will Arnett, they took him to a warehouse and didn't even introduce him to Arnett before they like open the door and here you go. It's completely cold.
Wow.
And he does an amazing job. His episode is one of the best.
That's the only episode I've seen, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
We saw the Christmas one.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Scott, let's stop. Let's ad lib everything from now on.
Okay.
Into the whole theme of the sitcom. No more writing.
You know what? I completely agree. You know who did that? I think it's a sitcom that you were inspired by.
All right.
It's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, and I think you should come up with a catchphrase so people know when you're telling a joke, like, bazinga or something like that. That would really work well.
Doorknob.
Doorknob.
Yeah. There you go.
Iodized salt. Yes.
Who's that girl?
Speaking of which, just a reminder: tomorrow is Valentine's
Nice
Day.
pants.
Tomorrow is Valentine's Day and Stacy's birthday.
Yes.
So happy
Wade. I mean, think how lucky Wade is, or unlucky.
Let's
Because
just think about that in general for a while, shall we?
If he forgets, he's really in trouble. But he only has to do it once a year.
The best thing is if her birthday is about 2 days after Valentine's Day, because then you get all the discount stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife's birthday is on April Fool's Day, so if I forget something, I can just be like, April Fool's.
I knew it. My brother-in-law's birthday is April Fool's Day. My roommate from college is April Fool's Day.
Wow.
Neighbor was April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people I know.
Where'd the shark go?
Nice shirt, chum.
It was hot.
Actually making my
Thanks,
way
I
through
work
that
here.
now.
She works there.
Yeah,
You
Ed
working down
Helms
there,
was
Biff,
on
now?
one of the commercials. Which one?
You wouldn't last there. You get mad and you would kill somebody.
Oh my god, you're right.
Trailer for the Flash. Oh, they did a trailer for the Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Shazam's Instagram.
Wow.
I didn't think the trailer was great, but I loved seeing Michael Keaton. That was very cool.
So I'm wondering if that movie is actually a documentary where it's about people switching universes, because I think we got the wrong Flash actor.
Well, you'll notice they put a
can't
lot of
believe
emphasis
they're
on
pushing this
characters
movie
other
out
than the
so
Flash in the trailer because of Ezra Miller's controversial
Yeah.
situation.
That's one way to put it.
But they are committed to recovery.
Well, there's too much sunk money now. They really can't. It's not a situation like with. You can go back and reshoot, and put Christopher Plummer in now, like they did.
No,
with-
it's not like you just completely remake the movie like they did with something called Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, yeah, but that's Zack Snyder. He's in a league of his own, for better or worse.
His last name isn't Snyder, is it really? Is it Schneider?
Zack Snyder's making a superhero movie.
No, it's
Yes,
Snyder
it is.
with an M.
Zack Snyder, what is his average edit is about like 0.7 seconds or something like that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I found. Did you guys watch that yet? The 4-hour Justice League movie.
Not for
It's been
this.
discussed.
I think some of us have watched it.
I have not.
I have.
wow.
It was not enjoyable.
Let's take a bad movie. I know how we can fix it. Let's make it longer.
Yeah, there's something in there. We just got to find out what it is.
I enjoyed the original more.
That's the secret of Titanic. Holy shit!
That could have easily been a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
Titanic.
Yes. Just don't do all the flashbacks.
You could just do the whole yada yada yada. The boat gets hit, hits an iceberg.
Look, see, Adam loved the Snyder cut. See?
I know he did.
Well, it's not the
he loved it
leading
more
cut,
than John.
So.
That's what he asks for when he goes to the barber. He's like, "Give me the Snyder cut."
I could tell Darkseid was actually there.
Same movie, but slow motion.
Oh, there was so much.
We have certain directors we have routinely grilled on here. Zach is one of them. Michael Bay gets a lot of non-love here as well.
I honestly love every single director that I've watched just because I know how hard it is to make a movie. But sometimes you just got to go, oh, that's so sad.
Well, certain directors have a very specific style, and when you're trying to make a movie that doesn't fit that style, it's awkward.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. It's kind of like you're trying to, especially with a movie that's has as much clout to it as a superhero movie. You're trying to appeal to so many people, so many investors, so many people from different backgrounds who are trying to put their input into this movie. Yeah, it literally is.
Well, we discussed that when we were talking about the first two Harry Potter movies, because Chris Columbus was an interesting choice because the first two feel much more like kids' movies.
They feel like 90s British kids' movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gradually get grittier and grittier. Alfonso Cuarón was a great choice for a director. I mean, after Y Tu Mama Tai Bien, like he obviously likes to do stuff about young adults, and he found a way to balance the grittiness of real adult life and tell a story about a kid who's actually like making that transition. Like obviously he is still young, but he learns how to empower his grief and to embrace the great things that are happening around him right there. I mean, it's why it's the best Harry Potter movie, because everything else is like, ooh, magic. Yeah.
Well, there's a tendency to try to make it. We will be discussing, I'm sure, some of this next week, but there's a tendency to make the Harry Potter stuff just simplistic good versus evil if you're not careful.
And totally.
That's too simplistic. That doesn't hold up for an entire movie.
Or a trilogy of movies. Or sometimes or 3 trilogies of movies. Yes.
Well, so while we're talking, the movies, the Harry Potter movies, have done pretty well historically. You'll see on the bottom of the first column is where Sorcerer's Stone. Go up a little bit further, you see Prisoner of Azkaban, and I think the second one might be on the second page.
On the other,
yeah. In the Chamber of Secrets ends up with an 80. But they have done pretty well. They've all scored pretty well with us here.
Well, I don't know the fourth one. It might be less.
It is hard to make a terrible movie when you already have a book. And the same goes for TV. Just look at Game of Thrones. When they ran out of books...
I stopped watching.
Wow.
I don't remember.
I don't know. I could argue about Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher, but that's casting more than movie making.
Yeah, Tom. I like the Reacher on Amazon was much better.
The Reacher on Amazon was much better cast, and it just worked because I can't do Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher. It just doesn't work. He's just totally miscast.
Yeah.
Have you read all those books, Dave?
No, not even close.
Have you read some of them though?
Okay. Yeah.
No, have you read some of them?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is. I like that one.
What?
Adam's pre-hating the movie already.
I mean, I would say it's the one with Batman now, but I digress.
The one with the Twilight guy.
Adam's gonna watch this movie.
The one with the Twilight guy who actually hates Twilight and made sure he sabotaged his performance in every Twilight movie. Yes.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. No, he hated those movies. It's
and
hilarious.
Apparently, Disney. Speaking of sequels, Disney's making a. There's been word they're making a Toy Story 5.
Toy Story 5, Frozen 3, Frozen 3, Toy Story 5.
I don't really care about Frozen 3. That doesn't bother me. But Toy Story, the thing with Toy Story is it's such an emotional arc. Toy Story 4 I know that Eric feels it was unnecessary, but at least I think they made it kind of
100%.
work.
Oh, and Zootopia 2. Zootopia 2 as well.
So what you've been seeing with Pixar movies the last 7-8 years is what Disney wanted to do with Pixar the moment they got Toy Story going. Just make Toy Story movies all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's bad. I mean, that's why they released, they released Turning Red to direct to streaming. I mean, that's a
Turning Red.
I mean, I didn't need 4, but I really didn't like the way 4 ended, so I am kind of hopeful that maybe 5 will be at a redemption arc for all of this, because I really didn't enjoy. To me, Forky is the Jar Jar Binks of the Toy Story universe.
Yeah.
I like Forky. I do. I like Forky.
I like Jar Jar Binks, but that's what I'm saying.
I think that part of the problem too is you've lost Don Rickles, you've lost Jim Varney. They're losing actors who played these important roles. Yes, they're not Buzz, they're not Woody, but they were important roles in the show, and it's getting sadder in some ways, just not having their voices there.
Right. I think even Mrs. Potato Head, Estelle, is gone as well.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Robot Chicken did a sketch about Forky before Toy Story 4 was even a thing.
Oh no.
I agree with Adam. Zootopia was a good movie.
That was a good one, yeah.
It's also going to be a Disney Plus series, Zootopia Plus. You can watch that. And Grinch. I'm sure everything's a possibility, Justin. I'm going to think
if it made money, they'll make a sequel as long as they have the rights.
Why not?
Disney's CEO before Bob Iger said, "We have no obligation to make great content. We only have an obligation to make money."
Well, that's what I was saying to Eric earlier. Is the 100-year anniversary commercial they showed during the Super Bowl. It was kind of sad that probably 3/4 of the commercial was Pixar, Marvel, and Star Wars.
Yep.
Which is basically stuff they just went out and bought. I mean, there was only a small part of it that was actually the core Disney, and I saw almost no, if any, live action Disney. It was all animation, and so it was really
at least
ignoring an entire part of their history.
At least they put in the right Mary Poppins.
Yes, they did. That's true. They put in a little clip of Mary Poppins, which was nice. But
besides Fantasia, to me, that's probably the best Disney movie.
Oh well, it's hard to go wrong. Yeah, that's a brilliant movie.
Mm-hmm. We should review that.
Oh, that would be a great one to watch. And I've actually, believe it or not, thought about putting Pollyanna out there, even though I know some people would absolutely hate it.
I love her.
But I love the movie.
I thought it was something about Avatar. Sorry.
No, this is the commercial that they aired during the Super Bowl.
There's going to be some punk out there who's going to replace all that diverse
Fantasia,
stuff with
great.
the racist stuff they did 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Disney's been around for 100 years, and if they weren't around way back when, they wouldn't have been able to buy Marvel and Pixar and all the other fun stuff.
No, and it's just a second. They're going to switch to all of the other properties they've bought. There's Old Yeller. Okay, I'll give them credit.
Remember the Titans.
There's Star Wars.
And those are Star
Herbie
Wars.
the Love Bug.
And those are Star Wars movies that they've made since they bought them.
Right.
So they're not the original Star Wars movies from before they bought them, right?
But they actually showed a brief glimpse of the live action, Lion King, which is not a good thing to show.
And they showed live action Cinderella too, but those movies have done really well.
Cinderella was at least a good movie. The live action Lion King is not worth seeing.
I noticed they didn't show any of their Miramax productions.
Or the Fox.
God.
Yeah, they're not showing clips from, because they now own the rights to Fantastic Four. Why aren't they showing the Fantastic Four clips in here?
That's right.
I was like, Tangled's the one you end on? Okay.
Tangled's a good movie. It's not a classic. It's a good movie.
Tangled is one of the most popular current movies for fans.
Get some conditioner. Jeez.
The rivalry between Tangled and Frozen is like legendary to me and my dance students. They can't decide.
That's
so Disney owns Fox, and the Super Bowl was on Fox.
Yeah.
Well, no, Disney doesn't own Fox, the TV network, do they? Because they own ABC.
No, I think they own Fox. They don't own Fox News, but I think they bought everything else.
No, they don't. I'm pretty sure, because they would not. I don't think the FCC would let them own both Fox and ABC.
Well, let's
that's
find
true,
out.
because if they owned it, then the Super Bowl would have been streaming on Disney Plus.
No, they would have combined the Super Bowl with the Oscars.
Here we go, Here's what Disney owns now.
They do own the Fox film and TV libraries, but I don't know if they own the Fox.
I don't think they own the network though. Because again, I'm pretty sure the FCC would not let them.
Let's see. Disney just purchased a boatload of movies and TV shows, a movie studio, a bunch of TV networks, and controlling stake. Let's see. They were able to fend off a challenge from Comcast.
I think Murdoch still owns Fox.
Well, no one should technically be allowed to own their own streaming service right now because it means that they have control over exhibition again.
Oh, they do not own the Fox TV network.
Yeah,
but they do own FX and National Geographic.
They own some cable networks, but as far as broadcast, they only own ABC.
Right.
Yeah, Fox Corp still exists, but it only owns a news and sports company, but it also has the Fox TV network. All right.
Isn't it something like 33% of podcasts that you're allowed or something? I remember reading that at one point.
Basically, there's like three phases of production: the actual production, distribution, and exhibition. In the late 40s, they said, okay, you can only have 2 of them. And they gave up theaters. So studios can no longer own their own theaters, which is why we got these big, huge corporations and family-owned theaters that are around for the longest time. But now, no one's going to theaters. We're staying at home and staying on our own devices. So they kind of found a loophole around that. So
Scott's sitting watching Titanic alone in an AMC.
Yeah, it's not because I'm...
Scott, do you realize how pissed off knowing what we know about, like when we did our thing, and there's 2 people and they're watching the movie before us. Like if those people weren't here, we could have gone in earlier. So all those people could have gone home, but they're like, oh, we have to play it. There's one guy in there eating popcorn.
Exactly. And then we got our theater reservation coming up. And the guy's like, it's 470 seats, and usually we have a screening at 5:30 on a Wednesday.
Yeah, he's like, I hope the concessions makes up for what we're going to miss. I'm like, you're not missing anything.
Well, remember during the pandemic when you could rent an entire theater for like $75?
Dude, Regal was starting to open up their theaters to like hosting conferences and events.
Yeah. Wow. Oh man. Oh, that's sad.
Well, so what's your thoughts on AMC? Have you heard about AMC? They have changed
pricing.
They're going to have tiered pricing now. That if you want to sit, it's going to be like going to a concert. If you want the best seats in the theater, they're going to cost more.
I think it's going to be one of those things like happened when Xbox tried to go streaming only and no physical media, and Sony went, "We're happy to have physical media. You have to have if none of the other chains go along with it, AMC will back down in a year or so. But if the other chains follow suit,
same thing's going to happen with Netflix.
But as long as they offer cheaper seats, like if right now the ticket's $10, if they only do 10, 12, 15, 20, that's bad. But if they do $7 or $5 tickets, if you want the front row,
what I understand, prices are just going up. There's not going to be
stupid.
The front row is going to be cheaper.
Oh, we'll be cheaper.
It's going to be cheaper than the stuff in the middle, but the stuff
I think it's supposed to be going to be cheaper than the current tickets, is what they said. I thought.
To me, this is the equivalent of when Netflix changed their name to Quickstar. I think this is such a huge.
It was Quickstar.
An amazingly bad decision.
Well, AMC is only going to.
Well, if that's the case, but no one
AMC
has
is
Netflix
only going to have
new
New Coke.
Napster.
Yeah, they're going to serve just New Coke. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is such a bad choice.
Well, it's when the first airlines started charging extra for every checked bag, the other airlines jumped on it quickly and it survived. If the other airlines hadn't done it, within a month or two, the first airline would have backed down. So it just depends on what the other chains do.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we go to the movies so infrequently as it is now. We are going to go see Quantumania, but honestly, almost everything else, I feel no desire to race to a theater to go see.
Hey, Movie Pass
I'm already tainted, and if you're gonna, and we and I purposely wait until I can find a time where we can get seats in the middle when I'm choosing my tickets. But if those prices go up significantly, I mean, we're talking like maybe once or twice a year we'll be going to the movies at that point.
Movie Pass is back, though, so you're going to be able to get stuff with Movie Pass now.
People are saying that the argument for it is, well, they do the same thing at concert venues and at theaters for live action plays and musicals. This is the movies.
A concert is they come into town, they play 1 or 2 concerts and leave.
Yep.
A play, they do 1 show a night. A movie, you're showing 8 shows a day.
Exactly.
You can't have the same pricing model.
Exactly.
Movies are literally theater in the square. Everyone's supposed to have a good seat.
And you're trying to convince people not to stay at home, that the experience of staying at home and watching on your TV is not as good, right? And they're losing that fight. They are losing that fight every day. And so, how they're gonna convince this is an upsell to get seats that I used to get cheaper. I question whether this is gonna.
It's an experience, and you can't expect streaming.
If they made them cheaper, then like more people would go. I think.
Yeah.
Like, didn't they do that?
I don't
the depression.
think so. I don't think if you took a $10 ticket and marked it down to $7, I don't think your numbers are going to go up by that much.
Well, I just remember reading about, like, in the Depression they had. I mean, it was a cheap ticket, and like people would just go because they had nothing to do, kind of thing. Like
there was no competition for your entertainment.
There was no internet.
Stuff you saw in theaters, you could only see in theaters.
Yeah.
And also, people wanted to go because it was a big thing.
Right. It was new.
Sound was in movies for the first time. Like, you didn't have to go to a movie theater in New York to go see.
Well, yeah, and your TV, even when you had a TV, even in the 70s, your TV had terrible sound, questionable picture, right? Like you weren't, like the movies were a big difference from what you had entertainment options at home.
You can get like a 60-inch TV for $400 now or something. I mean, it's just
or less. Yeah,
or less. It's just
use a projector. Get a $200 projector with a white wall. Hey, honey, you know what we're going to put there? Our movies.
Yeah.
No.
And the problem is, the biggest deterrent when I go to the movies are the other people who are there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
Anybody who's ever went to a movie with me and heard me laugh will definitely agree.
If you want to rope off the talkers and the people on their phones and those kind of people, put those in a separate room, maybe I'll be okay.
Yes. Have you ever sat beside someone who had someone with them they constantly had to explain the movie to?
Oh, you sat next to my wife. No, I'm kidding.
You're sitting there and the
Who's
person
that
next to you
guy?
going, "Oh, no, that's the person we saw 10 minutes ago. That's the one who dropped the phone." Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. What's a phone?
Wait, what's gonna happen?
I unfortunately do that for someone.
Now, who was this guy again? What is he? Why is he?
Wait.
I thought this was a comedy. Why is there an alien coming out of this guy's chest?
I just put the link to the tickets, by the way, in the.
That was actually my dad on my mom's second date. He thought he was watching Spaceballs and said he saw aliens.
Oh, that's good.
That's funny. I don't understand.
Thank goodness you didn't see the writing on the wall, because I would not have been born.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my honey.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
We have reached our limit. No more fun is allowed to be had. No. So next week, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Secrets. No, whatever it is. Goblet of Fire.
Secret of Goblets.
Streaming. It's a Secret of Goblets. I believe you are right. I think it is. The Chamber of Jaws.
Harry Potter and the Chamber Pot or something like that. I don't know.
That's right, exactly.
The
So
Sorcerer's Stones.
keep watching your Deep Space Nine. You got 2 weeks until we have the Deep Space Night. I don't know.
A deep discussion of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, it will be so deep. And then and so next week we'll talk about Harry Potter some more. And I think that's it. Anybody else? Any last moments for the order? Anything you want to share?
Great to have you, Scott.
Thanks
Yeah,
for having
thank
me.
you, Scott. First week.
Definitely.
And Scott, 4 more visits, you get your own intro. So you got to come back. 5th visit, you get a special intro.
First, you've got to remake Adam's intro.
It's on the list. Nothing's getting done on the list, but at least it gets on the list.
March 12th.
Well, great.
All right, everybody have a wonderful week. Stay out of the water. Good night.
Night.
Good night.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.